Ain't no use in me crying no more, she says. My own tears just make me sicker. So she took $20 and she left for the store to find faith in the form of cheap liquor. I have only been drunk for 4 years, she would joke, since I was 21. But there's no one to talk to in the checkout line, nobody to share in the fun. She says, Lord, I don't want to give up, I just need a reason for trying. So hide me away in the jungle now, Lord, for they feed me to lions, for they feed me to lions. And on the drive home she was thinking how he finally crossed the line. She walked in and packed up one suitcase quickly before she changed her mind. She left him no nothing, placed the bottle between her knees, and at a red light she unscrewed the Thunderbird to have it ready in case of need. She says, Lord, I don't want to give up, I just need a reason for trying. So hide me away in the jungle now, Lord, for they feed me to lions, for they feed me to lions. Out on the town, Lord, it's just tease enough. The open road hits a calling. She buys one more drink with a change in her purse, gets the rest from a man who calls her darling. And thinking about him, it ain't hard to do. The hard part is keeping from crying. And with friends all around, she retreats to the car to sleep off intentions of flying. She says, Lord, I don't want to give up, I just need a reason for trying. So hide me away in the jungle now, Lord, for they feed me to lions, for they feed me to lions. I said, Lord, before they feed me to the lions, I said, before they feed me, I said, oh, well, before they feed me to the lions. Misunderstood. Ooh, I said that that's all what I'm in love. Just a matter of being misunderstood. Yeah, yeah. Well, I said that that's all what I'm in love. Just a matter of being misunderstood. No, no, misunderstood.
And now I feel like a DJ, and it feels cool. It feels good. How about those two beautiful, beautiful, beautiful songs from Carolyn Wonderland? Everybody, we are live now on Austin Music TV, which on your cable channel is channel 16. It is 99 on ATT Uverse. Can everybody hear me out there in the world? I hope so. Let me know. Okay, sounds good. For those of you who don't know, this is 20 Question Tuesdays. And basically this started because, I was looking for something to do on the afternoons. Everybody was home, pandemic stuff. Everybody's locked up, looking for something. So I just got online one day and I started asking questions and started taking questions for people as far as, hey, Spring, how you doing? Nice. Taking questions, just random questions about music, about life, about anything, okay? And it was really, really fun. And immediately there was like guitar players and songwriters and people who don't do anything in music. They just love music, asking all sorts of questions. And it was just beautiful. And I really, really loved it. And it really, really made me proud and happy. So then they asked me to put it on TV. And I had to get this thing called Restream. And I got it so that I could go to multiple platforms. And about a week after I got it, I saw this little thing that said, you could invite guests. And I was like, ooh, even better. So I started with Michael O'Connor, and then I had Jamie Harris, and I've had all sorts of wonderful, wonderful people come on and take questions. Last week was, of course, Ruthie Foster. It was such a great time. And I just want to thank everybody in advance for having the opportunity to do this with you. I am ever so grateful. And Tuesdays are a busy day for me because after this, later tonight, I will do my regular live stream from here to there where I play my music. And but without further ado, our guest today is Carolyn Wonderland, and I'm just going to go ahead and invite her. You all know her, and we're going to have some fun. And we've already got some great questions in the lineup. So here she is. Hello, Carolyn.
Howdy.
How are you?
I'm doing quite well, man. Thank you.
I don't hear you.
Oh, no.
Maybe it's mine. Does everybody else hear her? I'm sure.
Anybody here?
Too.
Oh, no.
It's got to be me. I'm gonna
Could easily be me.
Can everyone else hear Carolyn Wonderland right now? Is Jeff the only one who can't hear her? Please let us know online. If
Howdy.
so, I will plug in headphones.
Test 1, 7,
You guys
4,
hear Carolyn out there?
3, 2, 6, 5, etc. The secret to life.
Is your mic
Cuss words.
was great during sound check. This is
I
what
know.
always happens, It's that classic thing. You hear both of us.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to do that. Okay, I got a little bit of speaker. Hopefully there's not an echo. Anybody tell me if there's an echo. That's the next thing. Hi, Carolyn. How are you?
Howdy. I'm glad I didn't test with cuss words.
Everybody always tells me to turn up. I guess I'm a little bit soft-spoken. I'll just keep leaning into the microphone.
Fair enough.
Good. She is very loud, and you are not. Okay. Well, I appreciate everybody giving me that, and I'm just.
I get that a lot.
Usually, I do. I mean, we're both guitar players. Plank is not as loud. Plank is not as loud. Okay. Well, I'm moving it even closer, and I'm getting rid of this thing. Glad to hear that there's no echo. Okay, now let's start. Carolyn Wonderland, everybody. How about that? Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me, man.
Yeah, I always joke and say I love being had. Thanks for having me. I love being had. It's my Milton Berle joke that I made up myself.
I can get that. It's nice to be visible, etc.
Right? That's one way to look at it. Okay, everybody says it's sounding good. I'm super happy to have you here. And you were one of the first people who kind of I caught kind of jumping on and catching these every once in a while. And it must have just come across your stream and you saw it. And it was one of those things where it was just I brightened up. I was like, oh my gosh, Carolyn's on here right now, And that happens to me a lot when I'm doing these. Somebody will put in something, right now we've got Jessica Forsyth's on and we've got musicians on, but we also, Pat Byrne is here as well, everybody. I want to make a super quick thing right now. Pat Byrne is doing a Kickstarter. I don't care if you guys want to put the Kickstarter that Pat's doing in the comments. Sorry, Carolyn, but put it in the comments because that was a really huge thing for me when I did my first and second one, getting my first record out. And please put that in the comments so everybody here can click on Pat Burns' Kickstarter and check it out. He's doing a record with Billy Harvey. He was my guest here a few weeks ago. There it is. There it is. See how we got the greatest people. Okay.
Magic.
Glad you're here, Pat. Anyway, it's pretty cool. I'm going to first give you some hellos. The drummer from the Pimps says hi.
Oh, John.
I'm sure you know that.
We go way back. I think I was probably the worst waitress they ever had at Blithe Spirits the first time we met.
I think that's a good claim to fame. I was the worst waitress you ever had.
That's me.
You should have gone to music.
That's what I ended up doing.
Right? I couldn't do the tray when I was a waiter. I couldn't do... Oh, that was terrifying.
No.
Terrifying.
It came in handy one time, though. I remember when I took my lack of skills down the street to Dan Electro's, and this gentleman decided it would be cute to tap my rear with his hand. And I was like, funny. First one's funny. Second one, I had a full pitcher of Shiner Bock. I was so happy to put that in his lap.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Don't blame you one bit. Hi, Len from the Netherlands. I'm glad the Netherlands is watching too. Hey, we're going to do I keep plugging stuff, but we're going to do a resentment show for Europe in a couple of weeks. So go check that out. Mary says, hey, Jeff, and hey, Carolyn. Mary Hodges, how you doing? Well, I don't know. Let's jump in. We got some really, really great questions early, and that's what we're all about here is the cool questions and the fun questions. And there's a lot of good ones. I'm going to start off with a nice softball guitar nerd question.
Yay!
Because we're guitar nerds, both of us.
Yep.
As far as I don't know. Can I say that? You mean like we love guitars, and stuff. Robert asks, you've had that telly for years, the one that's in the picture that we just put up. Jana, by the way, put up an awesome picture. I don't know where she got that one, but it's a killer picture of you today. She said you've had that telly for years. Where did you get it? And you swapped out the pickups. Why?
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think about that. I think I might have actually got that. I want to say in a used booth, perhaps, like at the Dallas Guitar Show years and years and years and years and years ago. It was a 50th anniversary telly. I dig it for what it is. Yeah, it's a thin line, so it's got the F hole. You could take a little bit of that Albert Collins and Roy Buchanan down just a touch and be able to, strum full chords and be groovy. So I ended up changing it out. I put Joe Barden's in it because whenever I'd try to do one of those fake pedal steel licks, beat it around. Yeah, it would just get lost between those magnets. It just make me so mad. So
you needed something that just railed across, right?
And and fortunately for me, I just got to go see Danny Gatton, and I was like, "What is that?" And I'll never be able
Danny Gatton.
If I could touch the hem of that garment, man, he was something else.
I know what you're saying. You're saying. So for the non-guitar geeks out there, what we're talking about is a thin line Telecaster, and it's called a thin line because it's got an F hole and it's kind of a semi-hollow body, and it's really kind of like, I don't know if I've seen you with I think I saw you with like a Nighthawk once.
My Blues Hawk, that's Patty.
Blues Hawk, yeah. And I've seen you with a Paul every once in a while, but this is your main axe.
Most of the time with my band, I like it because it allows itself a little bit of the twang, and I dig that. I took it out on the road with Mayall for like maybe 3 or 4 tours before realizing I need the P90s. So I went back to the Blues Hawk for that. And half of the practice tapes I got were Peter Green, and I'm like, what am I doing with the telly trying to play in this band?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was like, wait a second.
You know what? It's funny because, from an outsider's perspective, you could pick up anything and sound like Carolyn because you're a guitar player, and because you're a guitar player's guitar player, you have your own voice on the instrument. And
you're very kind in your estimation.
What's that?
I said you're very kind in your estimation, sir.
No, I mean it. And I think everybody out there would agree with me. And all of our greatest guitar players, like yourself, they sound like the person no matter what they pick up. But it is a really, really cool kind of thing when you listen to the scope of a band and you're kind of finding your place in a new thing to go, well, I kind of need a darker sound to make it fit with what else is on stage. It's not like you're trying to sound like Green, or that you're trying to go way off the wall from it, but you hear something and you go, that's why. Because people will say, oh, is he she picked that guitar because it's blue, or and it's like no,
It's a red
no,
one. It
no.
goes faster, man.
Yeah, it's a
No,
fast guitar, right?
no, I mean,
Exactly.
I think too, like listening after the first couple of tours of having the blues hawk, it was like, oh, this is obvious. It's the creamy pickups that allow the keyboards to really stand out, you know. And otherwise, the telly, it's a little chicken picking. It can be like, hey,
Right.
what do you think about these high notes? Biddly widdly.
Right.
Yeah, and if the piano and the guitar are anywhere close to the same range, it can be cacophonous.
I can think that that would be an interesting thing too, for whether you're a beginning player or somebody who's trying to pick out, different guitars for the first time, knowing that different guitars work in different situations, and you may play something with the trio that works better because it
Oh yeah.
cuts. And then you don't want that necessarily when you're not front and center, listen to my guitar all the time. It's a different
Yeah,
kind of a thing, right?
for sure. And the more instruments you put in there, the more you got to pay attention to the blend and where you are, and you're not blocking anybody. Boy, howdy.
Right? I, I think that's just a testament to being a really solid player, is that you, as well as, songwriting and doing your own thing, is that
Oh,
you can jump into a band and you can think about, what really makes it work, instead of like doing the look at me licks. Look at me,
yeah,
look
the
at me,
look
look at
at
me,
me
look at
looks.
me, look at me, those things.
Yeah.
Well, that leads into a couple of questions. A couple of different people have asked, and this is another on the old. I mean, we do mostly softballs here, but every once in a while there's a fun
All
question
right.
that's out. Um, Favorite moment with John Mayall so far? That's kind of a fun one.
Ooh, I
You
mean,
have a
that's
favorite moment
tough.
from being out there on the road? And
God, I mean, there was okay. I mean, there's some stuff. I mean, it's all been like a joyful thing. He is a joyful cat, and
yeah,
he's so good to be with. He's seriously the best boss ever, and I'm learning a lot about how to be a better band leader just from being in his band. And God, he anyway. I'll sing his praises all days. I love John Mayall.
yeah,
But one of my favorite shows, we were on tour. I think it was the night that Larry the Mole had passed from Canned Heat, and he had also been in Mayall's band for a while. And I think folks these days might have heard him on a bunch of Tom Waits as well. And he's just a great, great player. When he passed that night, John decided to pull out "The Bear," which is the song he wrote for The Bear when he
right.
passed. And it was the most on fire I had ever, and it was so emotional and beautiful. And then later in that tour, we were at the Bataclan in Paris, and I had never been. So it was interesting to be there after such a tragic event and to see the resilience of everyone, but to still walk into this theater with, these art paintings on the wall that have been there forever and see them riddled with bullet holes. And I don't know that it had crossed John's mind before the show, but that night he played I've Got One Life to Live, and the audience was the energy that I hadn't felt before. It was just such a beautiful, cathartic thing, and it was John doing his thing, and everyone in the audience, their part of it was really soulful.
Isn't it crazy? People ask a lot about small gigs, big gigs, connection, and
Yeah,
it being such a thing with playing music. I often liken that when you're on stage and you're playing music, it's almost the exact feeling as when you're in the audience and you feel like you're part of it.
yeah,
And because those two feelings are so close to me, I realize that when I'm on stage, the more I take myself out of it, the better it becomes. And
yeah,
when you're in a band and your leader has taken a left turn, and all of a sudden the audience just kind of comes in with you, it can be I mean, wow, what a great moment to mention. And also taking something tragic and bringing people together is wow.
yeah.
It's
It's
what
a
we always
beautiful
talk about as
thing.
one of the
It's
most
like,
important things with music.
yeah, behold the power of music. I can't believe we get to do it.
Yeah, aren't we lucky? I love that. Thanks for mentioning that one. Hey to Jesse Dayton there. Nice to see you're here, bro.
All right.
Have to have you on here one of these days. We got some people in Atlanta. Hotlanta is listening. That's good. We got Netherlands, Hotlanta, Vancouver Island. Everybody all over is coming to listen. This is pretty awesome. Hey, our friend Jessica Forsyth says, I'm just starting slide guitar. No good yet, but I'm wondering, she says, what ginger you wear your slide on. I think she means what finger. Maybe that's just she's being funny.
Autocorrect.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Guy prefers his pinky, but I'm not sure it works for me. Advice. Now, I know that for me, because as a side guy and a person in the studio, when you become one of those people who wants to just like play whatever comes along, I'll do it like Bonnie Raitt sometimes. I'll do it like, Lowell George sometimes. I'll do it on my pinky sometimes if I got a fret behind it. But, my preferred way is lap. And I know when we were listening to Misunderstood, is that lap for you too?
Oh, yeah.
Primarily?
I don't really play slide on the guitar when I'm standing up. It's just this thing that the control I have is better on my lap for sure. And I really like playing. I like playing, like, for example, when I play with Cindy Cash Dollar, because she has this just beauty and amazing approach, and everything she does is magic. And, I feel a bit rudimentary, like I'm just holding on for dear life a lot of times.
We all feel that way, right?
But
around Cindy.
For sure. But like the whole metal on metal, and then I'll do glass on metal, and the two together, it's just, it's some of the most fun I've ever had getting to play lap steel, is getting to play it with her.
Yeah, I've done a couple of gigs where I got to play with Cindy, and if Cindy walks into the room and she just even looks at me, I'm like, here you go.
Yeah.
Here's my guitar. And
I would say too, though, people who are interested in that kind of stuff and you're wanting to pick up lap steel, Cindy Cash Dollar's website, she lists like string gauges, tunings, everything you could want to know, and a couple of lessons as well.
Yeah, really, saying that she's one of the best instrumentalists on her instrument in the world is not like one. You just can't say that about many people, but she's just beyond technician,
Oh yeah, her voice.
I don't know about you. I like to beat the soup out of mine, but she's she's an artist.
She is. She knows exactly how to ride the volume too, and has these beautiful swells. We got to have her in the studio for this latest record that we finished in January, but we'll see when it comes out.
Okay.
And,
people can be looking for that.
Yes.
Here's
be
what
looking
I'm
and
going to do
listening
for that, because I wanted a good time to put that up. So, but they can be looking for that. What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Oh, just going on about how I love Cindy. Pretty much, moral of the story. I love Cindy Cash Dollar. Yeah.
Robert asks, Cindy is a luthier, right, too? I don't know that Cindy is a luthier. I know that she's really
married to one.
With design, exactly. She's married to one, and quite a good one as well.
Oh, yeah.
Up
Harvey's
in Woodstock now. We're talking about Cindy Cash Dollar. Feel free, anybody who's wanting to learn, especially Jessica who had that question. Cindy Cash Dollar. Go ahead and put her in there. So
yeah, and I would say too, when you're trying to pick a finger, just for me, if you're trying to play it like upright like a guitar, just make sure that hang on, there it is. This finger has a chance to mute the strings before the slide goes there. So any of these three.
Yeah, it really feels like that's one of the first big mistakes, is that people don't realize when you set the slide down on the strings, both sides of the string make noise.
We're all resonating.
Gratty and stuff, and you can use that to your advantage if like every once in a while you can just kind of it up and let it go ring, and it sounds like Robert Johnson for a minute. But really cool, great answers on that. Good stuff. Here's an interesting one. Favorite part of playing Fisher House Cantina? That's a very specific question about a specific place, but I know it well too.
Yeah, it's hard to pick a favorite. I mean, everybody there is so sweet. Obviously, getting to hang out and be in the beauty outdoors. It sounds good. They always.
This is in Fisher, Texas.
In Fisher, yes. It's a beautiful drive. You get to play to kids. So I enjoy that, I have to say. I mean, I love playing in bars. That's where I'm going to live. But I really enjoy getting to play for kids and dogs. If someone's having a good time, they'll let you know. They don't have to have a drink or an excuse to be dancing.
They're also dog people too, which makes a lot, which is right there with me.
Yep. Well, I also love playing with kids, with kids in the audience because they're brutally honest if they don't like it.
Aren't they? Yeah. Yeah.
I was like,
Oh,
okay,
I
then I
love
will
it.
step it up for you, sir.
I love it. The honesty is a beautiful thing. Um, So, one question that I always ask, and I usually forget, but there's only one question I ask the guests because I like this to be about the people who are watching and the people who are listening and their questions. It feels more interesting and it kind of makes the show. But the one question I like to ask,
All
and I
right.
got to figure out how to phrase it because it's always been really, really fun getting answers from people, is what is your guilty pleasure music? And for some people they're like, well, I don't feel guilty, about
Yeah.
anything that I listen to. But I guess what I could say, maybe there's a way to say it like, what's something that you listen to that people might be like, wow, that's a big influence. Like, I have lots of people know that I'm a huge, huge Stevie Wonder fan, but we
Hmm.
joke about the fact that when I was a little kid, my mom used to play Barry Manilow. So when that stuff comes on, I get nostalgic and I want to dance on my bed and go, her name was Lola. It was a dress cut down. I mean, all this
Yes.
kind of
All
things.
right.
I can't help it. I
Yeah.
start getting happy. Or that I'm a huge fan of like 90s hip hop, because that's kind of what I grew up on. And I still
That's
listen
cool.
to it.
Yeah.
Um, but what do you listen to that might be just like a little bit out there? Like, something that's not necessarily what people consider because we all listen to everything now because it's all available to
Yeah.
us and it all becomes part of what we listen to. And I love kind of surprising people with.
I would say, and it's funny because you can see him over this shoulder here. That little picture right there.
Yeah.
Ooh. That's Dave Brubeck, and I grew up with
Oh,
Brubeck was my dad's favorite, and that this poster's from a show that we were on the festival together in Rochester at the International Jazz, the Jazz Fest they have there. It's freaking amazing. It's
yeah.
beautiful, and one of my favorite experiences. So that year, it's kind of funny. We were playing a gig with Jake Shimikaburo that night,
Oh, yeah.
and Brubeck was the next night. So he came in the afternoon to test out the piano. So I'm all excited, like, oh my God, this is so cool. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. Do you mind if I test these out? I'm not interrupting anything. I really please play, maestro, please. So I called my dad, I was like, this is so cool. I'm meeting Dave Brubeck. I really want to tell my dad. And it went to the answering machine. So he gets, to hear a little snippet of Dave playing and
Oh,
I'm
that's
just going on
beautiful.
for a minute. So, an hour later, I get to meet Dave and Mr. Brubeck and shake his hand, which I didn't think you were supposed to do, but he extended his hand, so I did. And my phone rings. It's my dad. My ringtone is Blue Rondo a la Turk.
Which, of course, for those who don't know, is Dave Brubeck
Oh,
from the Take
yeah. And
Five album.
and he just looked at me like, there was a slight bemusement, a little smile, and then like, should I be worried? Oh no. Oh, so so yeah, Brubeck's one of my favorites ever.
Yeah, and okay, so that's a perfect example though, and what I love talking about because we're thinking jazz pianist, really influential, known for kind of starting the mixed meter thing in jazz and bringing in a
Yeah.
bunch of different influences, and
Definitely the first time I ever played in five or seven or anything was just trying to play along with it as a kid.
exactly. And we're talking about like if we say something's in five, everybody, that means instead of going like 1, 2, 3, 4, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you have to find different ways to count it and get
Yeah, is
into it
the
and all
emphasis
those
going to
kind of
be the one and
things.
three? Is it going to be the one? Yeah. Oh, it's fun.
Yeah. Oh, looks like we got one of those people who's doing that weird thing. This is a new thing now where people are doing a weird thing. Danielle, I don't know if you want to get that guy or what. Um, what was I going to say? That's a perfect example, and I love it. Um, Mary Brett Stringer has another one I really, really like. So it's she's kind of like three questions, but I don't mind all three of these, and these all kind of go together a little bit. What's your advice for those getting started in today's uncertain music industry? And I know that from the thing that I'm going to say, and I'm sure this is more for you, Carolyn, but be adaptable and be resilient and be able to know that things are going to change at the drop of a hat, just like everything does in technology, you
Yeah.
know, and just like also don't care about making money.
Yeah, you always have to be willing to have another side hustle or a job, to support your music habit, because it is a music habit and it's a beautiful thing. It's not as detrimental as some of the other habits I've chosen to embrace and discard in my life, but
Right?
yeah, you have to realize that the reward is the music itself
It's a
and
healthy
nothing else.
addiction.
Anything else that happens is incidental and doesn't often have a lot to do with the music, really. But I would say that you're in a great position if you're just starting out, because unlike many of us, nobody owns your stuff,
Right.
so you can put it where you want.
Meaning that we
You
used to give the masters to people, and the masters would be
publishing,
owned by a label. And people might know about this from like what's the go?
and we
Taylor
still
Swift
do. Yeah,
has
yeah.
that battle going on, and a lot of popular of their old masters are owned by somebody.
Oh yeah,
So, uh, but right now you can own everything, and you also really don't need anybody anymore. There's so, I mean, you may need like a team, and you may need this, and you may need that, and you need help, but you don't need a record label to have a great career. You can do any of the jobs if you know how to do them,
true.
but it's not like it used to be. I mean, if you've got a Patreon page, or if you're really, really good at marketing yourself, or if you've got anything, you can find your own way, which was something that
It's
I
true.
always found. Whether it was Eliza Gilkison, Ruthie Foster, Ray Wiley, or any other people I could name drop that I used to play with, they all had their own different way of doing it and their own path. And it was totally different.
Well, it's better to be organic because it's more difficult, I think, to try and follow a road that someone else has set for you anyway. If someone comes along and they're a great partner, like you find a fine booking agent, I'm super lucky. I love my guys at Intrepid. I wouldn't be able to do what I do and be in John's
Exactly.
band without them. I mean, it's an impossibility. If a label comes along and it works out, God, I wouldn't turn it down. I'd certainly
Nope.
look at it. But you know what I'm saying? You still can do it yourself.
Exactly.
Wait till you find the right partner.
Yeah, I like that too. And there's certain things where it was like, you wouldn't necessarily get a gig at such and such a place, because if you cold call them yourself, you're not going to get the gig. But if your agent calls them, all of a sudden you're playing that
Yep.
place. You
When I was,
know?
can I admit something?
Please.
When I was a kid, I had a fake booking agency called the Shine It On Agency.
This is so smart.
No,
This is
it's
so
ridiculous.
smart.
We were listed in Polestar and everything, so I had to report all this stuff every week, and it was my phone number. I was Carrie Bradley, the agent.
You are so smart.
Oh, it was so. I mean, it worked great for some things, but it was rough as get out to hear, like, when people didn't like you.
Oh yeah, because you had to
Like,
listen to him say,
hi,
"Nah."
oh man, this was horrible. The guitar track sounded awful, or this,
Ooh.
and it was like, she's a very nice girl, and
But you develop thick skin, right?
oh yeah, boy howdy.
All right, hold on a second. It looks like there's some sort of spam thing going on. Doesn't come from Jeff's profile or Danielle. Please don't click the links. Okay, whoever's spamming us in the comments, just ignore it, everybody. We'll get rid of it later. Welcome to the joy of, and it looks like that's only on Facebook, so that's cool.
All right.
Thanks for spamming
Thanks.
us. Okay, so back to the fun stuff. Oh yeah, so she had a little bit more. She says, "This is cool. What do you do when you feel like quitting and getting a real job? And when did you know you had made it and feel like you could feel comfortable as a musician, no longer feeling like an imposter, assuming that you did one day doubt yourself?"
Oh man, the doubt is every day. There's not necessarily. I mean, I can point to some specific times where it's like I'm
Milestones.
packing it all in,
Yeah.
and then something like, oh, I got to go see Los Lobos play, and it gave me a new perspective. Or one time, I had a serious dry spell of writing songs, and I just, I felt like what, I should put, an asterisk, former songwriter. I just felt like it wasn't happening,
Oh,
and I felt awful about it. And I was like, maybe I should just pack it in. I've been living in my van for 2 years. This is ridiculous, and I mean, literally living in my van. We
yeah.
stayed on the road because I didn't have anywhere to live. So I just lived in my van when we were home, and I was getting ready to pack it all in, and Bob Dylan called, and I was like, well, to hell with it. I'm going to give this another go.
Yeah. And who
Yeah,
knows
you
what's
know?
going to happen? Like, who knows when that's going to happen? We kind of get this attitude of musicians that, like, oh, we've got to, like, put these things aside and wait for that call. And really, I don't know about you, but there's a certain time where I just kind of just committed to, yeah, I'm a lifer.
Yeah, this is it. Even if I wanted, if I tried to run away, I'd be back in 6 months going, I need calluses to do what I hear in my head.
Exactly, exactly. It's like that beautiful song by, oh gosh, what's her name? Gillian Welch, David Rawlings. It's called Everything is Free.
Oh,
And,
yeah, yeah.
and in that song, she's like, they figured it out. We're going to do it anyway, even if it doesn't pay. And it's like they did. It's like long before Spotify, people took advantage of musicians,
Oh, yeah.
and we never did it thinking we were going to get rich. We thought we could just, play music and that could be our life, and who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't think that most of us regret it. But to your question, when you feel like quitting and getting a real job, I think everybody does, like she said. And
Hmm.
knowing that you made it. I mean, I remember one time my mom called me and she is, Jeff, I know you're going to make it. And I was like, Mom, I already have. And she
Hmm.
said, what do you mean? And I was like, I make my living playing music. I don't do anything else. So that's
Yeah.
all I ever really, wanted. Randy Dees asks, what's the story with Dylan?
Oh.
You want to give us a little bit of it?
Well, I'm not really sure how he first heard the band or any of that stuff, but apparently he did, and he was in Austin. I want to say it's maybe 2003, 2004, somewhere around there, and he had asked he had asked backstage, "Does anyone know how to get a hold of me?" And so Anne Marie was there hanging out, and Ray Benson called and said, "Would you come?" That was the first time I'd met Ray as well. He was very sweet. He kept me from he. I was meeting Bob as he was walking off stage, Mr. Dillon, and Ray put his hand behind me, like to make sure that I wouldn't fall over off the stage, and if I fainted. And I thought, that's a gentleman.
That's a
That's
friend
cool.
too, right?
Thank you, dude. Thanks. I mean,
Yeah.
because who knows how you might react, but yeah. So I thought that was it. I gave him a CD, obviously. Like, here's some music of mine. And I'd forgotten I put my phone number on it. It was just a disc I'd burned or whatever, some new stuff I was working on. And he called the next day, and I hung up on him
Oh
because I
no!
thought I thought it was a friend of mine pulling my leg. Like, because he had the perfect Dylan impersonation going on, and I'm like, someone's jerking my chain. I just hung up on him, and he called me back a minute later, and he says, "Are you awake?" Yes, sir, I am now. And so every now and then, I mean, he just would call out of the blue, and it's nothing, just like, would you come jam? Would you come? What do you think about this? The most interesting was he asked me one time to write companion lyrics to Leopard Skin Pillbox Hat. He said,
Wow.
would you write the girls' responses to that? And I said, okay. So I recorded it. I think it was on the last record before I'd, forgot it and lost it. But I was like, that's an interesting writing exercise. Thanks, man.
Yeah, I think that uh, anything like that, any challenge like that, people sometimes feel like that's something that might hinder you. I don't know about you, but if somebody says, especially somebody that I'm really into, hey, let's write a song like this, you know,
Yeah.
uh, it's like, oh, now I have a venue to go down. Now I've eliminated all these other things, and I can just work on that voice. And so
This
the
is
whole
it.
world of music is kind of, I've knocked a bunch of things out of the way, and carving out the sculpture is a little bit easier now. But
Yeah. Well,
maybe that's not the case when you're writing with Dylan.
I don't know. Well, it's a weird thing because sometimes, I give a lot of credit just to at least the concept of like fishing into the ether for stuff,
Yeah.
because that night, I think I think my room was like adjacent, or maybe I was below his or something, but I wrote all the words that night in the room and came back the next day at sound check and was like, here's my verses, you know. I It came so fast I wasn't really sure of myself. So I remember I called Papa Molly. I was like, "Can I read you some words and you tell me if I'm out of my mind to share this tomorrow?"
What another great thing to do, though,
Yeah,
to have someone that you can bounce off lyrics is so great. There's so many stories about Lennon and McCartney where one of them would say, "Oh, I'm not really sure about that line," and the other one would go, "You can't change that."
yeah,
Or they'd go, "I'm not sure about this line," and they go, "Yeah, it's crap."
yeah.
But either
It
way, you have
muddies the
somebody you
story
trust, and it just makes life so much easier. Finding somebody that you trust to do that
for
with
sure.
is brilliant. I want to make sure before we get into some other stuff, couple of quick things. Like right during the show, I got to mention just once, just so you know, everybody, to keep the show going and to take care of our underemployed musicians, we do this. And we split some tips, so thank you. I really, really appreciate that. And so does Carolyn.
For real.
Um, but I will also say I really, really want to talk about your involvement. And Susan and Randy both asked about, or no, Susan asked about this for sure. Susan from KPFT. She wanted to talk about your
Oh,
involvement with home and sort of maybe some other good ways to help musicians in general. But I think we're going to put this right back up with the technology. And you may see right there the homeaustin.org underneath Carolyn's website. Could you talk just a little bit about that?
yeah. Homeaustin.org. It stands for Housing Opportunities for Musicians and Entertainers. We started this, good Lord, almost 10 years ago, 8 or 10 years
Right.
ago. It was kind of a kitchen table thing. At the time, I think we might have even started it either at Nancy Fly's or Marsha Ball's house.
Mm.
Our original intent was we wanted to make sure that Lavelle White had her rent paid for the year. You know, she'd just come back and it was a bit more difficult. And we realized
Famous blues
after
singer in Austin for those people out of town, near and
Miss
dear to all of
Lavelle
our
White,
hearts, Miss
she is
Lavelle
it.
White.
Yep, she's 91 years old and will just melt your heart and then slap your drawers off. She is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yep. And
God,
she'll
she's
smack you
amazing.
with a kiss on the lips that is wet and beautiful every time I see her.
Oh, you
It
know,
can be surprising.
I grew up with her in Houston, and I think about it. Like the first time I ever got to sit in a limousine, we were doing a benefit for Johnny Clyde Copeland at Rockefeller's, and I'm just kind of sitting in the back because I smoke cigarettes, and I was like, ooh. And Lavelle says, "Come here, sit on my lap." And so
Yep.
I did. Like this is cool. This is way cooler than I ever thought it would be. And she leaned over and whispered at me. She goes, "Which one of them boys is yours? I'm taking the rest home." I was like, I want to
That's
be
her.
this woman when I grow up. She's so awesome.
Yeah, that is so
I'm
Lavelle.
still, honestly, I'm still in awe of her every time I see her. She's beautiful. She's an amazing woman. She really is. And
Hmm.
so with home, we realized it's like we want to make sure that she's okay. And then we start to realize that there's a lot of other people in that same situation. So these days we're actually got ourselves, we're a 501c3, so any donations you get are, tax write off. If that matters, it's there. And we got 9 people full time. We got a grant to do, I believe, 2 more, so we'll have 11 full time, and we've given about 100 of those $500 emergency grants out. And it's musicians who are 55 and older, live in Austin, Texas, or the surrounding area, and are needing help with housing.
It's very, very cool. Thank you, Susan, for putting that in the comments right there and a way to click on it. And
It's an amazing group of women too. Honestly, you get Marsha Ball, Nancy Copland, Shelley King, all these folks together. Yeah, you're going to get stuff done.
these are also some, we're talking about some, I guess fierce might be the way to put it. Nancy Copland is a force in and of herself. Known her for 20 years being part of the music scene and all the many, 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 many things she's done.
To know
Um,
Nancy is to love her, man, for real.
yeah, there's no doubt about it. That is a beautiful, beautiful thing. For anybody asking about anything else as far as, yes, musical royalty, all of them.
For real, they're awful cool.
Yeah. Uh, I saw a really, really, really good article today, a very, very short one that our friend Kevin Russell's of the Shiny Ribs. And if you guys go to, if you check out my Twitter or something like that, you can see I reposted it. really short, succinct article on the loss of venues, which leads me to some other questions that we have here that we can both talk a little bit about. But it's really, really good, and it's really succinct, and I think if you're a fan of Austin music, that would be a thing to look at.
It's always good to hear Kevin's perspective as well.
Kevin is for a cat who is so funny, he's particularly wise.
Yeah, for real.
And I like to say he's bona fide. I mean,
I think
do you
I
know what I
agree.
mean?
I do.
He's just bona fide. It's not a lot of for a guy who can put on such a great show. There's a lot of him in it, and
Oh yeah.
and we really love him for it. I wouldn't care if he was the spokesperson. I wouldn't care if he was mayor. I would love it.
I'd actually kind of dig that.
Yeah, me too. I think we all would.
Hmm.
So our friend Kate Howards, who's become a musician, and Kate is our Austin word woman. I know she's going to be watching this later, and because she's got an appointment. So everybody, you can go watch this later
Oh, sweet.
online. I keep them up for a while throughout the weeks. She says, I can't imagine how you're dealing with the current crisis of venues closing left and right. I try to remain optimistic about the future of being a musician, but it's becoming increasingly more difficult. How are you dealing with your feelings about this situation? And what actions are you taking? And I would say feelings about the situation is, just real quick for me is it's really, 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 really hard. And we're going to see a lot of them go. And hopefully when this all changes, the only way I see us being okay is that we realize that it's never going to be the same, but we can hopefully bring some of it back into it. There will be a new normal. It's not ever going to be, and it's going to be a while. So we got to hunker down. But my feelings about the situation and dealing with them, I'm a push forward kind of person myself. Also, real quick, Mary Brett put that in the man. I love it. Everybody who's on this show,
Yeah.
they're putting in the comments and stuff. Thanks for putting that there. But for you, how are you dealing with your feelings about the clubs going, and what actions are you taking?
There's a couple of organizations, the Saves group. There's a couple of different musicians union organizations as well who are doing things. And as much as I do sign things and I do share them, I feel writing to your representatives is important.
Huge.
And I gotta say, Cornyn, I disagree with him on damn near everything, but he actually has stepped up on a few of these things.
We got to say it when they do.
So you have to say thank you when he does the right thing, or he won't do it again.
Yep.
So there is that aspect of it. But on a personal level, I mean, I am super pissed off because, I mean, I see other cities who are taking care of their venues better and faster before they're all lost, saving art districts and in areas because they realize it's cultural import. And we very happily wear the moniker live music capital of the world, and yet we're shooting ourselves in the foot every chance we get with it.
Right.
There are ways to save, like Nashville. I mean, you can take them as an example of how they ran the money to the venues to make sure they're going to be there. I mean, it's not perfect. Nobody's got the perfect solution, but us not doing anything is the worst solution at the moment. Or talking about planning, expansion on a convention center that who knows if you're going to be able to even. No, take that money and help people maintain why people came here in the first place, or it'll be gone. And it's worth fighting for. So on a personal level, I try to donate to the local venues that of course the ones I play, and then the ones that I've gone to see shows at, and keep track of the sound people that you love, and the bartenders you love as well, and just keep everybody in mind when their email and their Venmo comes up because they're doing something, put it in there.
Yeah,
We're going to
really,
be saying goodbye to Wonderland tomorrow, and I'm excited to get to play with my band in a clean environment, and it's going to be safe, but it's also going to break my damn heart.
Yeah, because we've spent so much time. I'm so sad that I can't do my 4th annual Plankenstein's Halloween show.
Yeah.
Which was great every year, and so many times in 1-to-1. And Shady Grove's gone. Threadgill's #1 and Threadgill's is gone. It's just, it just kind of goes to show you that yeah, it's really tough.
It's a gut punch, but we got to look out for each other, and we got to take our complaints to the people that represent us, and present solutions. If you got ideas, for God's sake, present them. Don't hide them under a rock.
No, whoever you are. Right. All right. Okay. So I don't know if this is even really a question, but a fella I know by the name of Ted says, one time, this is a remember that gig, and it sounds weird enough that
you were
I
in
want to
seat 37C.
I mean, usually when people say, "Do you remember that gig?" I'm like, "No." We have a lot of gigs. This is a good one though. Blimp Hanger in downtown Houston for Halloween. There's a pyramid by the soundboard and projected movies, and it was for child advocates. And he's like, I know she'll remember it. And I was like, I don't know, man.
Are you sure
a blimp
Are you
hanger?
sure we weren't both taking some form of? Wait a second. What did you say was by the station? Yeah, it's entirely possible. Was I a teenager?
Exactly.
Did some wild things.
Yeah, it's not an easy one, Ted. I'm sorry, but who knows? Maybe she remembers, but.
It'll come back to me. I'll be like, oh, yeah, I was affiliated with the Orange Show. And
Exactly.
Which, by the way, would have been my favorite answer.
Robert says people are carrying on the torch with house concerts. And it's true. House concerts are absolutely brilliant and a wonderful way to get money to a musician. But we need clubs, too. And there are people that, if I could just speak for a second, I know there's people that really, really, really love going to a house concert because they don't want to go to a loud club. And I know people, like myself included, I like playing house concerts where it's like this, but I love playing with my band at a bar. And I love not talking, believe it or not, about like the songs and just playing guitar. And we need that. And all of those people that work there are really important too. So yes, house concerts are super and important, but it can't be just that because we have lots of fans and we have lots of ways we want to play, right?
Yeah, and besides, you deserve. I mean, everybody deserves to be able to have a groovy venue and a neighborhood venue and a palatial venue and a divey venue, and these things. This is where the music lives and is born and thrives. And without it, it's going to suffer a great deal. Because you don't want me to come to your living room and go, today I feel like the Vibrolux and the Deluxe. Hang on, I got this.
Those are both of her amps, by the way.
Oh, everybody. Yeah. Get them on 7. Let's go.
Exactly. And this was something that Kevin put in the article, too, is that it's kind of like, and it might be a little bit weird, but he says in the article, it's kind of like church, and I'll let you read it so you can have your own thing, in that there's a community feel for the people that go to a certain venue. And they start to get to know the people that are at that venue, and they start to check out other acts that are at that venue. And so, I mean, it's amazing how that word of mouth happens in Austin, and I haven't seen it as much in the other towns. Yeah. It was a thing that was to me, very particular to Austin and most Texas places. Definitely, I felt that way in New Orleans and some other places, but we all kind of talked to each other, and this person played with this person and went over here, and the clubs might be across the street, but they dig each other,
Yeah. It becomes a safe place too. Like I mean, speaking as someone who was once a young woman, it's a safer place to go. When you know everybody there, you know the scene, you're going to be all right. You can cut loose and dance and be goofy, and when that's gone, it's gone.
We
got to keep it as much as we can, I think, and it's not impossible. And I like to think the words of Uncle John Turner are my hero for for my life. Well, Uncle John.
Oh, Uncle John. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
John. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Uncle would always say, well, we're going to revel in the vibratory waves of external unity, but you gotta have a place for it.
Revel in the vibratory waves of. Oof, that's good. Say it one more time.
Revel in the vibratory waves of external unity. And that's it,
Yeah, that's the connection, right?
Yeah. You get the little atoms or whatever it is that's dancing between you and the people listening. I love it. That's what I miss more than anything. It's just that odd. You can't describe it. Electric connection. It's there. It's experienced, but not describable very well.
No, it's really hard to put your finger on something like that for sure. Um, uh, this may be a question that you go, you know what? I'm not really in the mood to say that. And I'm going to give
Okay.
you an out right now. I'm going to give you an out, okay? And
All right.
I guess I should put this back up because we're still on TV, and I want to thank, as usual, a couple of quick thank yous to Austin Music TV, Sheila Steele, Channel 16 on cable, Channel 99 on ATTU Verse. Thanks to Peter Blackstock, who did a really, really, really great article, kind of gave me the 2 residencies of the month for my online things. Really appreciate what you do there, and thank you. And this is 20 Question Tuesdays with my very special guest, Carolyn Wonderland. And Lee asks this. He says, Carolyn is outspoken politically. What is
Fair.
the fan reaction? And like I said, I would just say I'm going to pose that question to you and let you just kind of speak on anything that you want to regarding that. Because we do live in a time right now where, once again, artists of all ilk are being told, shut up and sing.
Oh yeah.
And again.
Oh yeah.
And
It's
that's the first thing that kind of comes to mind.
Yep.
But if someone says Carolyn is outspoken politically, what's the fan reaction? What would you like to say about that without making you
well,
say anything you don't want to say?
I would say that, I mean, if anyone was surprised by what I think, then they definitely don't listen to the lyrics, and that's okay too. I'm not saying that you must dig my poetry. No, I'm not
Yeah.
saying anything like that. But it surprises me if people are shocked by the positions I take. Um, I will say I was surprised. There have been times where I've actually been spit on. I've had my hair pulled out, like just random odd
You've been
things that
spit on at a
spit on.
show.
Loogie right after the show, walking outside to go and meet everybody. And would you like a CD time? Hook patooey. Wow. Okay. I got run off of Sturgis. I don't know anybody else who's been run off of Sturgis, but I got run out of there. Uh, because we were the cleanup act, the smaller
Yeah.
band that plays after the main act, before everybody's ready to wind down. I mean, it's smart. So if people are leaving the venue, they go in waves instead of everybody, 60,000 people trying to get out of the entrance of that place. But yeah, we were playing a show with Ted Nugent at the time, and I didn't
Ooh,
know until that moment exactly how racist and xenophobic he was. To the
which is
point
a
where
lot.
a lot. I found out that night after loaning him my amp, and his tech was the sweetest guy in the world. I was like, oh, yeah, you can use my amp. It's fine. I'm going to play after you anyway. So groovy. I walked up on stage and I said, F your war to begin with, but that was some racist, ridiculous insert a string of cuss words and bottles came flying, and that was the last time I played there. And I'd done 13 years at that place, so I miss the families that I got to see grow up, the beautiful people that were there, the folks that could tell me the difference between a pan and a shovel head, the real folks, the folks that didn't put their stuff on a trailer and ride out there. I missed that. But I feel it's worth it to speak your mind, because that doesn't weigh on me as much as the times when I kept my mouth shut.
Right.
And I may have benefited from keeping my mouth shut, but I couldn't sleep well after it, and I'm never doing that again. So, you don't have to agree with me. Maybe write me a song that's the alternative point. Make it 3 minutes, make it rhyme. It won't hurt.
Good
Wouldn't you
luck
love that?
too.
Wouldn't you
Good
love
luck.
that if everything was settled like in Congress that way? It's like, no, man, you got to come up here with some epic rap battle, whatever it
Yeah,
is
it's
going to
got to
be.
be a rebuttal.
Haiku Thursdays, whatever.
Yeah. First of all, I know since you're talking and you're sharing with us here something that's kind of heavy, and yeah, I want you to know that in the comments, a lot of people are saying that they're proud of you, and I can appreciate that, and I feel the same.
Yeah.
As far as like voicing your opinion and stuff, you don't like it, go see somebody else.
Yeah,
You know,
please.
I have a
I,
very, very open door policy with my gigs. Until you step on anyone,
yeah,
I'm not having it. You
I'm
know,
with you.
and
Well,
I
I
don't need
used
it.
to,
I don't need it.
I used to get more upset by and sometimes it still gets me. You get a string of like personal messages that are just insulting and ridiculous.
Or
That
really,
stuff,
really bad.
or really, really bad. Yeah, where you sometimes have to actually report them to the authorities. That's a drag. It's a drag, and it's a waste of your time. It can sap your energy. But there's part of me too that realizes that like after you hear so many hollow threats of, you've lost a fan, it's like, okay, I'm never gonna come see you again. Oh, and I start to realize it's like it doesn't break my heart because when this is all said and done and we get to do live shows again, why would I want to hang out with you anyway?
Exactly.
Why am I worried about the opinion of imaginary people? What you think of me is
Right.
none of my damn business, to be honest.
I mean, again, hitting the nail on the head. And isn't it a lesson that's learned over time that we can hopefully pass on to some of maybe some of the younger cats?
Yeah,
And
don't
it,
let it get to you. Don't let it zap your joy. That's their point.
right?
Mhm.
Um, I have to apologize too. I usually apologize early in the show. Something about this medium makes it very, very easy for me to interrupt my guests.
Oh, please,
So I put
not at
it
all.
there, and there's a little the interruption does happen with the lag or something. I'll blame it on that. But I really believe there's a lot of artists out there that are speaking their mind right now, and this is a time of great polarization. And the powers that be really, really want us to be this way,
Yeah,
and don't let it happen. Stop listening to polls. Have a plan for voting.
yeah,
All the things that mean something to you mean something to you.
yeah.
And I'll tell you, in Canada where I'm at, we watch this show called The National. And The National is like the national news show in Canada. People don't know I'm up in Vancouver Island waiting out COVID with my wife. She's Canadian. The National is the news. You
Yeah,
get on and they tell you the news. And they
that's
spend an
it.
hour telling you what the news is, and then there's no pundits, there's no explaining the news. This is what the news is. We used to have that in the States,
Yeah,
and it's a
Merle.
shame. I heard the sound of Cabbage Alley, and whenever Cabbage Alley comes onto my phone, that means we're almost out of time. We're about to go offline. We're going to stay online for maybe like 2 or 3 minutes after we get off of the television, and we'll stay online on Twitch and YouTube and Twitter Periscope and what's the other one? Facebook. Of
Far
course, I
out.
forgot Facebook. And we'll stay on for a couple of minutes for all the questions. But I just want to thank, in this last 20 seconds, Carolyn, thank you so much for doing this with us.
Thank you for
And
having me.
one last place for people to, there we go, and be looking for the new album and all the beautiful music that's there. And
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that myself. I'm excited.
isn't it always, can't wait to hear me.
I know.
I can
Not
hardly
that I
wait to
didn't
hear
hear.
me.
Yeah, not that I didn't hear it like 100,000 times going, oh, wait, did I, ooh, did I, ooh, did I.
Oh yeah. Now that we are okay, so we're offline, everybody. We're off the television station now. It's 11:58 and 30 seconds. So that means we're off television. We're online. That means I would say give it about 30 more seconds, and you can swear to your heart's delight. So what the hell?
I know, I was trying real hard. I almost made up a word there for a
You
minute.
did a really good job of not swearing, and so did I.
Yay,
We got to
sailor
work
mouse.
that. But now that we're offline, everybody, it's okay for us to do this one more time. I split the tips with my guest every week, and you are helping out a Matthew. Time to curse. Kate Howard, you made it. We answered your question earlier. You can go back and check it out. For everybody, we keep these up so you can go back and watch them and listen, and you can check all the links for different things that people put up during the show. I love the conversations that go on between everybody. I love the questions. Your questions are way more interesting than mine, and I love it so much. A lot of people are talking about voting right now, National Voter Registration Day. We can
Yeah.
both say heck yes to that. And there's some links there. Judy Beck says, vote your mind, even if I don't agree with you. She's been voting by mail in Oregon since 1998.
I
Love
know.
it.
What a fine system.
Yep. Nothing wrong with that, right?
Mm-mm.
Um,
I'm going to be
man,
I applied to be a poll worker on election day, so I'm going to see if they take me. They should let me know in the next couple weeks, I guess.
it's such a great thing to do if you are healthy and you are able-bodied, and you know you can go to be a poll worker, and they pay something to
Hmm.
do it, to be a poll worker, and so necessary right now because so many people are sick with COVID that are more susceptible in the later age groups. So,
Yeah, and you think about who you usually see at the polls when you go there as your poll workers. I mean, most of the time it's folks in their 60s and older. So this year it's time to step up and do it because they can't be there.
you have to do it, right? Susan Darrow says, "I want to vote where Carolyn is a poll worker." See, now that's good. That could be an enticing thing. Is that
You
you
never
don't know?
know.
You may go to the polling station where Carolyn is a poll worker. We could entice voters that way. I have a lot of
Yep,
friends like Jana Pokop and Shawnee Kilgore are both sending out lots and lots of postcards to
that's
unregistered
brilliant.
voters. That's a beautiful thing to do. Super, super important. And uh,
And check today to make sure that you are on the rolls because sometimes squirrely
yes.
stuff happens. You've done everything right. Doesn't matter. Check.
Yep. I'm
30
here
seconds.
in Canada and I spent quite a bit of time on the phone uh, making sure that, I was going to get, and I'm still terrified that it's not going to come,
Oh,
because I haven't got my
well,
ballot yet. They haven't sent them out,
oh,
but,
oh, yeah,
you know,
true.
but I don't know. I don't know if I would just like fly back and then fly back in quarantine or what I would do, but I need to vote. So we could thank everybody for being here right now. Thanks again for the split tips. We appreciate that very much. Split
Surely.
next week everybody is going to be Mr. Ray Wiley Hubbard. We'll have the old Wiley Llama on. That'll be fun.
Nice.
And I think Ray Prim's after that. We've got John D.
Very
Graham and
cool.
Jenny Reynolds and Kimmy
And
Rhodes. And David Grissom's going to do one. Boy, he's going to probably have to have a guitar in his hands as well.
oh, I know. I kept looking at mine. I'm like, hi, guitars, you're good. Whew.
Yeah, right. Right. Well, I also love this because, we have lots of opportunity to go on, but I really, really love the questions that people bring to us. And we got to all of them today, which is really great. I think we got to everybody. Thank you
Nice.
so much, Carolyn. And is there anything we can do call to action because we're off right now? So if we want to say, yeah, I can say one more time, check out your website, go to your website, go to
Yeah.
homeaustin.org. Latest
Yeah.
record was.
We recorded it at Stuart Sullivan's place. Dave Alvin came and produced it. It was yeah, I was scared and I just had this vision. I really wanted him to do it, but I was too chicken. So I was talking to some of his band about it a little bit and Cash Dollar, going back
Yeah.
to Cindy, she's the one, she's like, whatever, calls him up. I'm like,
Isn't that
ah!
how it happens sometimes too?
Yeah. And he was so good. So this is just he would walk in the songs, he would listen, and knew exactly. He'd call himself the Mad Rearranger. He'd be like, "I'm sorry, Mad Rearranger idea," and his ideas were just right on and made the song so much better. Got to the point I wanted to make faster, and we got to have, and then we're like, how about we have some friends? So we got Marshmallow on, and got Red Young, we got Cindy
Oh,
Cash Dollar, Jimmy Dale Gilmore came and sang a duet with me, and I was just like,
oh,
this is so fun.
yeah.
I
There's some really beautiful parts on that record too. Like when I was playing the intro today, I picked the tune that had some strings on it because I really, really loved that
That's
tune.
the Tosca Girls, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
they are just so incredible and lent something really beautiful. What's great about that song, for me, is "Feed Me to the Lions." Am I saying the title right?
yeah.
Aside from the content and the story, uh, your voice right up front, with the piano and stuff, and it's kind of open.
Yeah, I don't
It's
often play piano, so it's like those chords are just kind of what I could do, you know?
there it is.
Yeah.
But there's like a very, very openness to it, and your voice is right there. And just like sometimes I try and kind kind of point out like, wow, check out the breadth of this artist. And like, there's a, you know, because I mean, I'm going to play Misunderstood because I want people to listen to you rock, and I want them to hear that. But then they hear the beginning of that tune, and really through the whole song too, and the emotional quality of it, and that there's a lot going on with Carolyn Wonderland. There's a lot.
I'm kind of all over the damn place. I don't mind it. I think it's more fun.
What's that?
I said I don't mind being all over the place. Scattered's a good way to live.
Oh, I agree. Why would we get stuck doing one thing just because somebody told us you're this?
It's like,
whatever.
Nope.
Susan Darrow put, Robert asks, when can we get it? Well, the new album's not out yet, but the one we're talking about right now, you can get at this moment. The one we're talking about, it is out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get it on all the things. It's on iTunes and Spotify's and Bandcamp if you want the money to go right to the artist. And also, Susan Darrow says Carolyn Wonderland tomorrow at 1 to 1 bar.
Yeah, it's a pay-per-view, so absolutely won't get stopped by anybody.
Yeah, right? We almost got stopped today by that weird spam thing.
Dude.
Whatever. People are going to do what they do, and you just got to be ready for it and be above it. Give my love to Whitney.
I will. Let me know if you want us to send you some hot sauce.
Oh, the answer is yes.
Yes.
The answer is yes.
Text me your address, my friend.
Yeah, you got it. It's going to be a little. It's going to be a little bit of a hustle. I had to send a buddy some spices from Italy. His wife called, and he's a guy who runs Mike Morgan, and he runs the Zone Studio. And,
cool.
And his wife called, and she's like, I need to get these spices, but they won't ship to the U.S., but they ship to Canada. And I was like, what? These like weed or something? Are these like illegal spices? Like, what's the deal? Like, because in Canada it's legal. You can fly with weed here, and which is crazy and awesome, and it's great. I don't smoke, but it's a beautiful thing. And
I'll do it for you.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I got some spices sent from Italy, and you know, it's worth the wait sometimes for something like as special as that. And Whitney's hot sauce is worth the wait because I know.
Yeah. I got to say, too, some of the spices we've been missing, he's just taken to growing in the back. So now we've got like papalo and basil and, you know, everything you can imagine.
I'm so
and I think
lucky
he's past 300 trees now.
Really?
Seriously. Yeah, he goes out in the park and puts trees in, the native ones.
Oh, God, it's such a beautiful thing. That and the fact that so many people are starting to go back to home gardens, small gardens, herb gardens, all this stuff. It's like, I'm so lucky because my wife's a horticulturalist and a gardener. Ever since, you know, we've had, and beyond Green Thumb and arborist as well.
See, we'd have a perfect date night. We'd have a perfect double date night.
I know, because you and I would sit and talk about guitars, and they would talk about that. But I find it so fascinating, and it's also really, really inspiring to me in a lot of ways. You know, because her art with the natural world and stuff, and me getting out of it. I always love going to like the Christmas party, the holiday party with the gardeners, because they ask me about music, and I go, no, I want to hear about you.
Yeah.
You know? So hear about gardeners and stuff, and because they're just
how do you striate those seeds? How do you? Yeah,
I mean, honestly, truly, like where do you get those little hemp packets that are just like the little things with the seed? All of it.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad that people are doing the home gardening thing is a big thing again. There's something really satisfying about going out to your backyard and picking up something and then putting it in what you eat.
Yeah, that was Whitney's goal this summer, was like, I want to be able to walk out with no shoes and just pick a salad. And so it's like, there's the cucumbers, there's the tomatoes, there's the okra, there's the basil. We're in. You know, it's kind of perfect. And I agree. I'm reading the No More Lawns. Yeah. Get rid of your St. Augustine. Nobody likes that. It doesn't do anybody any favors. The ants, maybe, but not really. They can do their own tunnels.
When you see a perfect lawn in Austin, it is ChemLawn.
Dude,
you know it's chemical, you know. And
let the clover take over. You'll have all the butterflies you want. I mean, it's pretty fine. And the more those butterflies eat, the bigger they get. We have some sulfurs this year the size of my damn hand. I was like, okay, then. Yeah, they get some fat little worms.
Tough thing here, though, is we have tried to grow hot peppers, and we cannot. Everything grows here except hot peppers. It's a bummer. We need a lot more sun. We're on the other side of the house, and we don't have enough.
Yeah, I gotta be like south facing and have, yeah. I
Yeah,
guess
and
you'd
we
only have the one season. I mean, that's the one advantage to the scorched earth season we get in Texas is you do get two growing seasons on one on each side.
You really, 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 really do. I will say this though, we're spoiled in other ways. We're spoiled with
Oh,
salmon because every
yeah.
type of salmon in the world comes through here, and we're spoiled with blackberries. Like there's so many blackberries everywhere. People just walk around with pails, and like
Hell
my
yeah.
wife, somebody walks by our front door, and I was like, "Honey, somebody's getting our blackberries," and she goes, "Well, those aren't ours."
Yeah,
You know, they're
they're their
everybody's.
own.
Like
Yeah.
there's so many everywhere. So
Oh
we're
man.
really
Yeah.
spoiled. Anyway, we could
Like,
keep doing this because
I
I
know.
miss you,
I
and
miss you too.
it's really, really, really wonderful that you did this. I want to thank everybody online. Thanks a bunch. Thank you, Carolyn. Check out homeaustin.org. Check out Carolyn Wonderland's latest record. Be looking for the new one. And I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Everybody can go back and watch this. And thanks for sharing it. And thanks for the tips. And
Yeah.
we will see you all very, very soon. Here comes the finish button. Carolyn,
Love
stay
you.
on with me for just a minute. All
I
right.
will.
Bye, everybody. Thank you all so, so much. Bye, Carolyn.